Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Unscripted and Unstoppable. I am your host, Laureen Quick. Today, we are exploring a question many women begin asking in the second half of life. What if my best years aren't behind me? What if they are just beginning? My guest today is Paula Washington, a strategic advisor with more than 27 years of experience helping accomplished women and senior leaders navigate life's biggest transitions. Rather than encouraging women to reinvent themselves, Paula believes this season of life is something much deeper. It requires building forward from the wisdom, experience, and strengths that they have spent a lifetime developing. Paula is the creator of the Golden Gap Compass, the Encore Framework, and the author of the Encore Playbook, where she reminds us that experience does not expire, and neither do we. In today's conversation, we're using Paula's work as a doorway into deeper questions. What does it really mean to own your truth? And we'll explore why the second half of life invites us to stop living somebody else's story, why wisdom becomes one of our greatest assets, and why this season truly may be the most powerful chapter of our lives yet. I think you're going to find yourself somewhere in this conversation inspired and encouraged and motivated. Paula, welcome to Unscripted and Unstoppable. I am so glad you're here. I just jump right in and I'm going to ask that first question to get this conversation started, girlfriend. Many women spend the first half of their life becoming who they were expected to be. Why does the second half invite us to ask completely different question? Who am I really?
Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for having me today, and I'm excited to share with you all. What I discovered throughout my life and the lives of women that I've worked with is the reason this question is, who am I really? Is because the first half of life was the journey to becoming. It was, we did all that was expected, go to college, get married, work 30 years, have a job, all of those things. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't, retire, whatever. And we were socialized as women to be second and to serve everybody else, when in actuality, we are first in our own lives. And so now at this stage of life, when you hit past 50, you own your own truth. You make the decisions. The kids are grown and gone or on their way. Everybody's doing what they need to do, and you have given everyone else everything you had. Now, the best that you have is for you now to give to yourself.
That is beautiful. Thank you. I love that. I resonate with it. I completely agree with it. I couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you for sharing that insight. It is really our time.
It is. It is. And it's a gift that life gives us. You know,
Yes.
many people look at, oh, I'm turning 50, the number means Jubilee. So that means everything going forward, I'm going to celebrate. Doesn't mean everything is going to go smoothly, but at least I have the wisdom and the understanding and intelligence and the skill set and everything else to know how and what to do going forward and
And
not
it,
lose myself in the process.
and the idea that this time is a gift to us really flips the narrative of what we often hear, which is old age is the beginning of the end. You're on the downside of the hill. Your life
Hmm.
is over. There isn't much left other than to sit back and, I guess reflect and enjoy. But really, it's just a brand new beginning and a new invitation into life. One of the things that you have often said is that women need to own their truth. So, Paula, what do you think has kept so many women for decades, not because they lacked courage, but maybe because life required something different of them? Is that why they weren't able to own their truth earlier in their lives?
Yes, because this is a thing. You know, the decade we're in now, at this stage, if you're 50 and beyond, we were lumped in with the baby boomer decade, which had certain criteria and was set up the way it was. But it did not reflect who we really were. The expectations and the things we were told worked for them, but it doesn't work for us because we're born between 1956 to 1964. So we have a whole other level of intelligence that they never had to experience because we industrial revolution, technology, all different things we lived through. And so we are the generation that has it all, if you would say, because we've lived through all those transitions and changes. Where the next generation, if they don't, learn how to communicate with us and we don't learn how to communicate with them, they won't receive. When we have expectations imposed on us by others, we begin to believe that that is what it is. But in actuality, it's not. So
Mm-hmm.
now that we've raised the children, we built the careers, we did the caregiving for the parents, we've done all of these other things. Okay, so let me take the best that I have now and use it for myself and own my truth without apologizing, knowing that this is the mid time in my life. And I now don't have to perform. I don't have to please. I don't have to nothing. I can do what I want to. You could walk to the mailbox in your robe if you feel like it. You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to wear makeup, you don't have to. Whatever it is you want to do and be, you're free to be that.
And there is a term for this group of us, right? That
Hmm.
I had never
Yeah.
heard until I spoke with you.
Yes, the Generation Jones is a actual that is the term for the decades we were born. It is a complete concept. Like the baby boomers, we're the Generation Jones, and then you have the Gen X's and all those other things. And we are that generation, that mid generation
Mhm.
that bridges the gap between the best of what the baby boomers had to offer in work ethic and whatever we received from them, and then everything else we've learned throughout the decades into helping the new generations come forward and be able not to um, avoid some detours in life that they would normally not be able to avoid had we not been there to give them that information.
And so I've always thought of myself as a baby boomer, and now I'm
Mhm.
learning that I'm part of the Generation Jones.
Exactly.
What, if you could really, in a nutshell, what distinguishes me from the baby boomer generation? How am I different?
How are you different is we biologically and physiologically, mentally, whatever, our intelligence is what they call crystallized intelligence,
Okay.
in that we've been able to, our brain was set when we were born into the world, we adapted to every change. I remember the Royal typewriter in high school. I worked at IBM when we went from that to the electric to the computer to the big computers, then to the word processors, then to the desktop computers. Now we got the telephone. So we are the generation that remembers the origin of a thing and why it was created. And
Okay.
so we have a level of critical thinking and understanding, and our brain is able to scan a lot of information at one time. Doesn't mean we're slow. It just means we have the background of information to scan and understand what will happen, what won't happen, what's the best option, what's not. And so that's not that we're slow or we forget or this or that. No, we're thinking critically about the best option because the last time we saw this occurrence made, or someone made this decision, we know it's not going to work. And we know why it's not going to work because we know the origin of the thing. When you don't know the origin of something, you really don't understand what the output is supposed to be. So
Mhm.
when we look at the young people today, they got all this technology, they're using it all. Everybody's writing books without sitting down and learning how to write with pen and paper.
Mhm.
Okay, you put it in AI and then they produce it. But why are you writing the book? Who are you trying to help? And what is it all about? And what are you all about? And if
Mhm.
you can't connect with who you really are in your heart and what your heart really wants and why you were here and who you're here to help, then what's the purpose of it? It's just a piece of material.
I
And so we make that distinction.
I'm
We have the ability to make that distinction because we were born in a certain time which we were cultivated naturally. Our
Mhm.
brains naturally function that
And so what I hear from that is that all of these changes that our culture, our society went through happened at a time when we were forming our identities.
way. Exactly.
And so we have this strength, this insight, this gift that, baby boomers went through it too, but they weren't forming and shaping themselves the same way we were. So
Exactly.
that makes it different for us. And then our younger generation, they don't have the experience of what was before. So
Exactly.
yeah, that is very interesting, and
Yeah,
something that I would think a lot about now that I
exactly.
understand.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of research on it on my blog, on my website, paulawashington.com. I did a whole series about women in the mid-time generation Jones. It's your prime. And
I
it has all of the, scientific research there, all of the details there about learning about that, because understanding your identity, our identity is so important to us. And so many other people tried to shape that. The matriarchy tried to shape it. Now, I love men, don't get me wrong, but they tried to frame everything in who we are through their lens, when we need to frame who we are through our own lens.
Yes. I mean, and that can be said for even our children. They like
Yes,
to frame us in who we are through their lens. And
exactly.
I think in the past, women have typically spent a lot of energy and time trying to meet everyone else's expectations. So
Exactly.
if my children think I should be this and my husband thinks I should be that, then I try to blend. And of course, it's very frustrating because
And
you
that's
never make
why,
them happy.
right, exactly. And we're not here to make you happy. We're not here for you to be happy. That's for you to do for yourself. I'm here to guide you with the best that I have
Hmm.
to share with you. Take it or leave it.
Cool.
But I am not here to be your doormat. I'm not here to serve you. I'm not here to be second. And I'm not here because I care about your opinion,
Oh my
because I
God.
don't.
Your words are music to my ears.
I know, because, and it took, a half a decade to get there. Now in my late 60s, I'm loving it. And, my mother told me when I turned 50, you don't owe anybody anything. And you have the right, you earn the right to be yourself.
I love it.
And that was the best thing she could have ever told me, because it freed me from all of the crazy of my past. And
Hmm.
then it helped me navigate that decade to walk into who I am today.
I love it. I love it. When we talked earlier, you said something that really struck me then and stuck with me, and that was the game isn't won until the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that? What does that really mean to us today?
To us as women, because we were socialized that experience has an expiration date, that you're supposed to retire at 65, which we know that's a whole fallacy. It is not accurate. We're like fine wine. It gets better with time.
Mhm.
When you watch a sports team play, they don't win the game in the first three quarters. They prove themselves, but in the fourth quarter is when they kick out. And that's when the game is really won. That's when the real strategy, that's where the energy they didn't know they had comes out. And the best team wins. If you watch a person who sprints versus a long distance runner, they kick in at the end. So the fourth quarter of our lives is to be celebrated, not to be dreaded. It's to be
Mhm.
celebrated because you're going to do your best work. You're going to evolve in the best version of who you are in that season, in that encore era. And you have many of them, however long you choose to live. People are living longer. Women are living longer than men. And with that being the case, what are you going to be doing? You can't be sitting around doing nothing. You have a brilliant mind that you really don't want to lose all of that and not pass that on to someone else. All that ingenuity, all that intrinsic genius that is sitting there waiting for you to do something with it. So in your fourth quarter, we may not work as hard, but we decide how we want to work. If you want to I have women that only work their business 3 days a week because they like to travel and they like to do different things. Some women only work their business half a year. It doesn't matter what you do or how you do whatever you want to do, but do
Mm.
something. And there's opportunities available, with the wealth transfers, with the women now leading in more areas in the areas of investment. By 2030, we'll be managing estimated $34 trillion, according to McKinsey's report. So, do you want to be in line in that conversation? You won't be at the desk or the front of it, but do you want to be in line somewhere so that you can set up that legacy for your family? She stepped out and did this. So I know I can do that. When I
Yes.
look at my great grandmother, my grandmother, my mom, and the things that they did, my great grandmother graduated college in 1894. So why would I not pursue education? She went when we weren't even supposed to be in school. you know, let's not get it twisted. They didn't want women to know that much. Okay, and her and my great grandfather set up a good business and so forth, and the things my mom and my grandmother did as well. But the thing about it is, whether you have a legacy from a family or you are the one that started, do something.
Hmm.
Everything you did was just preparing you for now. So
Well,
this fourth quarter, what are you going to design and build for yourself that fulfills you, that lights you up, that makes you happy, that you get excited about, and everybody around you is excited because they need who you are,
they
not
do.
what you've been.
What I've also learned from all the conversations I've had in the last 2 years of my life is your legacy is more than the wealth that you leave behind, the money that you
Right.
leave behind. It's the example that you will touch the lives of not only your children and potentially your grandchildren, maybe even your great grandchildren by your example, but also you touch the lives of other women, other people in this world who watch you, who see what you do, how you are, who you be, and
Mm-hmm.
you inspire them. And that trickles down into they then inspire someone else. And then and so you're bringing into the world goodness, positivity, beauty, love.
Love and
Yeah.
wisdom.
And wisdom.
Wisdom is the product. If you work 20, 30, 40 years, you got wisdom. Well, you should. And
Mhm.
if you understand, nobody wants to be perfect. We want to be precise at times, but we don't want to be perfect. We just want to get it done. The midtime in our lives, MIDTIME, is that hallway between who you were and who you're becoming today, and what your business or your goal needs you to be now. And you walk it out unapologetically proud and confident. I'm just doing me. And it works, it doesn't work. Oh, well, I'll try something else. It doesn't matter. But we win because we are owning our truth.
I love it. Again, I just love it. Everything you say resonates with me today. You have talked about the idea of moving from soul to strategy, allowing wisdom to become wealth. What does that shift really look like for a woman in her life when she makes that happen?
Well, I'll start with the Generation Jones just so you can kind of see what it really looks like. When we're
Hmm.
talking about where soul meets strategy, we're talking about owning who you are from the time you were born and the environment you were born in, from the world perspective, narrowed down to the environment you grew up in your household, and then what you created or where you are now, and then opening that heart to what you really want for your future. So when we're living through who we were to get to the best version of who we were meant to be,
Hmm.
that's the joy of that. That is exactly how, our brain matures and excels at that bilateral integration. So now everything is integrated. And it looks like it's so exciting because now we can actually track the cycles, our own patterns of recognition. Oh, I remember, in my 40s, I did this. I know we had a lot of challenges going on, but while I did it, we did this. I remember a time when I was caregiving for my dad, and I was in the hospital, and they were all thinking he was going to die. And I said, listen, he's not going to die. You all go in there and do what you got to do. And I just took authority over everything. I said, do what you got to do and turn the phones off. And I'm sitting there typing a business plan because I had an opportunity. And so I'm smiling through my tears with the gift that loss has given me. Okay, so get the business plan done. The doctor comes out and he said, don't say I told you so. I just smiled at him and laughed. And the thing about that is, other people would look at that situation and very gravely and because every time he went in for surgery, they were afraid to operate because they'd been sick for a long time. And we know when it's time and the end is going to come. They know when it's time and the end is going to come. But perhaps we're supposed to walk in our authority and tell people what they need to do or what they need to hear so that they can walk in their own authority as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what we've been doing, and what I saw myself doing when I was younger, is shrinking back and letting everybody be right, when in actuality, I was supposed to speak up.
That is a incredible example, an incredible story to me because it really illustrates what you're talking about, that you just didn't kowtow to what the authorities in the world said. You rather listened to the voice inside you, and then you didn't let it distract you. And at the same time, you encouraged other people not to get distracted either.
Mm-hmm.
First by your example, but also by your words. And so, yes, that's an amazing story that you just shared. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It must have been I mean, it is and it is and it isn't. You know, when you stand in that place, it isn't as hard as you think it is.
No, it's not.
It
And
actually is really easy.
it
Yeah.
is because we build resilience through challenge. You don't build resilience because everything is nice and sweet. Okay. It's always going to be a yin and a yang. There has to be an alignment in the universe. So, you know, me leaning as a woman of faith, I lean on my faith. So once I know that this is what it is, now I have to stand in my truth. And I have to stand up for what I know to be true and what I believe. And if I don't, everything around me is going to reflect chaos. And I didn't realize that when I was younger. So in my book, I had put, navigating the new after the crazy, the chaos I created, jumping in and out of the frying pan,
Yes.
and then the chaos that just showed up. So our soul is who we are. Once I accept everything about me, all of the cuckoo, the crazy, and offbeat stuff, as well as the intelligence and the brilliance and the beauty of who I really am. And I accept all of that. I say, okay, this is what I got left, which is the best thing in the pot. You notice when you make a soup or something and all of the good bits are at the bottom? Well, that's what we got left. Let's take that and make something with it. And that's where we get to create the new. So we take all of that, add that to strategy. Now we got something.
Okay.
Okay. And then from the strategy, we're going over to the wisdom where experience doesn't expire. It is an asset. And now my vision has come back. And I remember what I forgot or what people lied and told me or all of that stuff. I remember. And now restoration has happened. Oh, the light bulb goes off. And now we're looking at legacy and strategic capital. Time to make some money. Have fun and make money. Do your business, live your life on your own terms, and let's go. So that is why the compass is so important because it's a diagnostic tool that shows where you are now and who you are now, not what you were or what you want to believe. We're not looking at the resume. Nobody cares about the resume. No one cares about that. No one cares about anything that all awards and all that stuff you got. What's in it for me and how can you help me because I'm having a problem? Can you identify where I am and help me with your life to get to where you are? Because guess what? I'm here. You're here because I was there. So I have to be present 100% to share with you what you need.
Exactly. And you know the whole thing about the chaos and the mess. We created that because we were confused. We had
Exactly.
confusion. So we brought more confusion into our lives. And
Exactly.
and so as we're clear about who we are and what
Mm-hmm.
our gifts that we have to share, the confusion goes away. It gets
It
very
does.
clear.
It does. It
Yeah.
gets real clear. We're looking through glass. I mean, we're looking through the glass so clear. You know how sometimes people think the patio door is open and they walk through and hit it. That's how
Yeah.
clear the glass is getting. Well, we get all of that junk out of our spirit, out of our soul. We get it all out and say, okay, here we are. Oh, this is what it looks like. Hmm.
And
Nice to slow down and relax.
and this is our gift. This is the time for
Yes,
this to happen. All that other
it
stuff had
does.
to happen in order for us to be where we are today. So it's don't you don't have to go back and say, "Oh, I wish I'd done this," or "I wish I'd forget
Right.
it." Let it go. It's right now, this moment. How can I bring that clarity into my heart and then into my life and share
Yes.
that with the people around me? Yeah.
Exactly. And there's no regrets. What I didn't do yesterday, if I need to do it, I'll do it. If I don't, I don't care. Because
Doesn't
it's not gonna change. So oh well. Let it go already. You know, how many times you're gonna beat yourself up over something you can't change?
So when I look through your material on your website, the Encore framework, it begins with exit with intention.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Yes.
explain a little bit more about that, how that starts?
Okay. In business, you have an exit strategy, risk management, you have exit strategies for every project, every deal you do, correct?
Hmm.
And in life, what I learned as a woman when I was going through the divorce and got laid off and all these other things that were happening that were doors were closing, I realized I didn't have an exit strategy if it didn't work out. If the marriage didn't work out, what was I going to do? If the job didn't work out, what was I going to do? If this didn't work out, what was I going to do? I needed to plan an exit strategy. So I created Encore with exit with intention. Whether you want to stay on the job or leave the job, come up with a side business or something in case the job goes away. Now you can market yourself and contract yourself out with your own business. Everybody's not a business owner or 100% entrepreneur, but they definitely have entrepreneurial capabilities. And you could definitely be an independent contractor or something, but never depend on one thing. We were taught, yeah, stay married 30 years, or what, stay married a lifetime and all of that. Well, that didn't happen with a lot of us.
Most of us.
So there was no alternative. And now, and we were shunned because we were divorced. So now we have to figure it out. Well, if you go in saying, okay, if this doesn't work out, this is what I have for myself. I have my own money, I have my own this, I have my own that, whether this moves forward or not. And it's not doom and gloom about the relationship, it's protecting who you are because you are the asset. When someone marries us, we are the gold. The value in who we are is priceless. So if I'm going to share that with someone else, I'm going to make sure that I'm covered. If
Yeah.
I'm going to go into business, how long am I going to work on this project or this idea before it makes money? Let's get rid of trim the fat of all the things that are not generating income. Just because I like it, you have a glorified hobby that's expensive. Make some money. What are you doing? We have to look at exit. A lot of people I work with are, pre and post retirement. And one lady I worked with, she was looking to exit her company because her and her husband he has a business. He wanted her to work with it and she wanted to do something else. We prepared that, put it all together. And then they closed her division. Well, she could walk in the door now. She had a plan. And she presented them with her plan about what she wanted them to pay and what she wanted. And she got it all. Why? Because they thought she was going to be what? On the other side, desperate and sorrowful and so forth, and they could offer her whatever she wanted. And she's like, no, this is what I expect. And then one of the lovely things about her preparation, when she did, they made that exit and they closed that division, unfortunately, a family member was ill and she was available to take care of them and had her own business. She could work in the background to keep her vision alive while she was caring for that individual. How many times what happens in life, we don't have a ray of hope or a light that we can look at when we're going through those dark seasons. One of the things that kept me going north through all of the caregiving and all of life's crazy, was that I could see my vision and the mission for why I was here. I may not have been able to get to it, but that gave me hope to hold on
And it
because life gets challenging.
and this can be anything if you
Yes.
think about it. Like, for example, I have lots of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are my age or older. But I
Mm-hmm.
also, my one of my strategies is to cultivate younger friends because I know my older friends, they might pass away before I do, or I might pass away before they do. But in the event I'm still living, I don't want all my friends gone. And then I
Mm-hmm.
sit around looking like who could I do things with? So I
Mm-hmm.
purposefully, with intention, cultivate younger friends so that as my life shifts, I'm prepared for it.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
also in creating younger friends, we stay current.
Hmm.
We learn things from each other. We pass on legacy to them. And there's a vibrance and a level of creativity and spark that wasn't there before, you know.
Yes.
And also, it keeps you from being lonely.
Yes. Uh-huh. So it can be as much as a business decision as much as a personal decision, but to look at your life and go, okay, well, I'm 67 years old.
Hmm.
It's inevitable that I'm going to die. I mean, that is going to
Exactly.
happen. Do I have a plan
Exactly.
for that? I mean,
Exactly.
that's the biggest exit strategy, right? Yeah.
Yes, because think about it. We're living longer. So at 67, we're saying, okay, I could live another 30, 40 years.
Hmm.
So what am I going to do in that time? Well, I
Exactly.
might as well come up with something, okay? Because I obviously, I know a lot of women, a lot of families, and they, do the grandparent thing and all of that, and that's wonderful. But for most of us, we need more.
Hmm.
We're going to travel, we're going to enjoy life, we're going to all the things we want to do, but we still need more.
We do.
So it's
Well,
about the
I do.
connection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I know I do. It's about the connections. It's about learning about cultures, going to different places, understanding how people think. You know, it's so much fun when life isn't about you, when life is just, you get to experience what's in front of
I do always believe life is about expansion. And
you.
so
Exactly.
whatever is restricting me, that has to get dumped. And whatever is broadening me, expanding me, that I embrace.
Exactly. Exactly.
So for my last question, I wanted to ask you if every woman listening could walk away remembering one truth about herself, what would you hope she remembers from our conversation today?
Wow. The gold was always there. Now it's time to recognize it for yourself.
Oh, beautiful. Yes. Paula, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think one of the most powerful reminders that I got from our conversation is that the second half of life is not about becoming someone else. It is really about becoming more fully ourselves. That's the challenge. And if today's conversation, dear listeners, dear viewers, resonated with you, I would encourage you to spend a little time reflecting on this question. What truth about yourself has been waiting for you to fully own? And perhaps your next chapter doesn't begin when your circumstances change. Perhaps it really begins the moment you decide to stop living somebody else's story and start living your own. Paula, again, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and your heart with us. And to everyone listening, thank you for spending this time with us. If this conversation encouraged you, inspired you, please share it with another woman who might also need to hear this message. As always, you will find links to Paula's work, her website, and the Encore Playbook in the show notes. And until next time, my friends, please remember you don't have to have everything figured out to take the next step. Trust your inner compass. Your next chapter is waiting for you. Thank you, everyone, and take care.
Thank you.